Hey folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new real-life car review. In this episode I'm driving the Toyota Yaris GR Sport. Now please note that's not the GR Yaris, you know, the road-going rally car with 300 horsepower and all-wheel drive. No, this is the sporty top-of-the-range version of the regular Yaris. It is based on a 1.5 hybrid. It does not have any extra horsepower or torque, nor does it have a higher top speed. But Toyota added some nice extras to the exterior and the interior, but they also changed the suspension and the steering. So, let's find out what this car is all about. Being the top-of-the-range model, the GR Sport gets unique design features, like the grille with matte chrome elements. It features dual LED headlights with automatic high beams and LED fog lights. The GR Sport also gets unique 18-inch wheels with a unique design for this car, wrapped with Bridgestone Turanza tires. From the rear, this Yaris is easy to identify as a sporty version. A visible chrome-plated exhaust tip, a faux diffuser in high gloss finish, and of course full LED taillights. The increased wheel size really gives this car a sporty stance. The interior gets lots of GR badges, red stitching and sport seats with synthetic leather and micro suede upholstery. Now, the current generation of Yaris is a whole different car than its predecessor, both inside and out. The upper trim level of the current model range gets this binocular instrument panel. It's fully digital, I liked it. There's a small digital cluster in here, there's a small digital screen. There's a lot of information crammed in there. It can be a bit hard to read. Although I must say that I like traditional physical gauge clusters much more. But anyway, this works good. There are GR badges all over the place. Here on the steering wheel, on the start button. There's a small GR badge over there, and also when you start up the car it shows GR in the center. There's a heated steering wheel, which is very nice during these cold days. The only thing is that they placed a button for the heated steering wheel right here. I'd rather have it here on the center stack where you have the buttons for the heated seats also. It has Toyota's new in-house developed infotainment system. It's very good, and this version of the GR Sport is equipped with a premium pack, and that comes with a panoramic sunroof. The audio system in these cars is very good, and the upgraded JBL system sounds really good. Now, when we're talking about negatives, these LED headlights, they come with automatic high beams, and 9 out of 10 times they work good. But where I live, it can be very dark at night, especially when you have new moon, it can be pitch black. For yourself, these LED headlights are great, but for oncoming traffic, it can be a bit late when switching from high beams to low beams back again. When oncoming traffic looks into those blazing full LED headlights, that can be a real eyesore. So you can correct it by pulling the stalk. But I prefer to leave the system off, and the only downside of the system is that it can be switched on, but the button is down here and it's a bit hard to reach and to see during driving. But one thing I always notice when I drive a Yaris, when I want to open the door, I always reach over here where I expect to be the door handle to be. And when I want to roll down the electric windows, I reach here. For my feel, this lever should be up here and this button should be lower. I think you can get used to that after a period of time. But I drive these cars for a week or so, and at the end of the week I'm still grabbing over here to open the door. The small negatives of this car is that the rear doors don't open a full 90 degrees. This is as far as they open. If you have kids in small child seats in the back, this room, especially with this cutout of the door, it's a bit cramped to get kids in the seats. But also when you have adults in the rear, let's move my stuff over, you get in. It's not the largest of door openings, but I must say seating position over here is good. But all in all, the rear seat is not deep, but I think I can last an hour or two before I want to get out. And also the view through the windows to the outside, even for kids, is good. Now let's have a peek in the trunk. This car doesn't have an electric boot lid, which is just fine. Plenty of room for your weekly groceries, I guess, and luggage for 2 persons. One of the benefits of this new generation Yaris is that the hybrid battery is placed underneath the rear seat so it doesn't take up any trunk space. I don't know the specifics of the cargo space. I'll blink it here in screen. There you are. Now let's close up the car and have a peek under the hood. And one thing that sets the GR Sport apart from the regular Yaris hybrids is it doesn't have these blue lines in the Toyota badge over here. But it is a hybrid. Let me show you. There's the hood prop. Now I would say this is Toyota's glorious 1.5 3-cylinder hybrid powertrain, but it's a bit of a cable and hose mess under here. Nice cover would be nice, but anyway, Toyota has to make money and they saved out a nice cover panel over here. As in the normal hybrid, the GR Sport, the drivetrain is exactly the same. 116 horsepower, 120 newton meters of torque. It has a top speed of 175 kilometers an hour, I believe, and the 0 to 100 kilometer an hour sprint is done in about 9.5 seconds. The fastest version of this Toyota Yaris is the 1.5 non-hybrid version. It has a top speed of 180 and does a standard sprint in 9 seconds. So it's by no means a fast car. The fuel economy of this car and this drivetrain is just great. It's the most fuel economical car I've ever driven. And the regular Yaris, I got 28 kilometers per liter. I'll blink in the translation to miles per gallon over here in screen. This drivetrain has 3 drive modes: normal, power, and economical. And in power, it's really a peppy car, I would say. But all in all, this drivetrain is developed for drivability, approachability, and of course fuel economy. And the last thing, it does really well. Well, let's close up the hood and have a peek in the interior. GR badges are found everywhere in the interior, from the door sills and over here on the floor mats. And please note the nice red stitching on the seats and on the steering wheel. The seats are upholstered with a really nice synthetic leather and micro suede inserts. They sit really well, you don't slide over it. Okay folks, let's go for a drive. Sorry for the sudden change of scenery. I started recording during the first drive segment and the camera tipped over. Okay, if you're ready, buckling up. Now before I start with my first impressions, I would like to point out that the regular Yaris is already a very pleasant car to drive. Plenty of driver comfort, but also a lot of dynamics. Steering and suspension are pretty good for that kind of car, which is a regular B-segment car. It's one of the best, or maybe even the best, driving car in that segment. Now first off, you can immediately tell this car has a different setup suspension wise. That's also partly due to the wheel and tire combination, the low sidewall tires and the larger 18-inch wheels. You can hear it inside the car. There's a lot more tire noise, and also you can tell that these Bridgestone tires are much stickier. Now it's 9 degrees Celsius outdoor. It was just above freezing this morning, but on these kinds of roads, these asphalt roads, you can hear the tires pick up a lot of loose pebbles, and you hear them click inside the wheel wells in the fender liners. So that's a difference you will immediately notice. But you can also tell that the spring rate is different and the shock absorbers have a different setup, and also the bushings in the suspension and the anti-sway bars and all are just slightly different, and that translates to in a more much more contact with the road. So the GR Sport isn't just a badge. When you start driving it, you can immediately tell this is much more of a driver's car. You really lose some driving comfort, some quietness. But then again, if you on a sporty car, this is exactly what you'll get. So if the GR Yaris is out of reach for you, but you want a sporty feel to your Yaris, well, actually the regular Yaris is a very nice driver's car, but this is very much more so. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the Toyota engineers did to the steering setup. The steering ratio is just slightly different. The power assist is different. It's slightly heavier in my opinion, but then again the steering already had a very nice setup, much feel to it. You can dive into corners at high speed and maintain a lot of control. Okay, this is an electric power assisted steering, so in comparison with the older hydraulic power steering setups, yeah, you lack feedback, you lack feel. But on the other hand, the steering offers plenty of precision. Now things change when I push the drive mode button and I go into power. The throttle response is actually the only thing that changes, but yeah, we're doing 100 kilometers an hour already. It's instant torque. The engine doesn't have much torque, like I said, 120 Newton meters, but it's plenty enough for this car to give a sporty feel. And that's one of the benefits of the NGA platform. It doesn't require much power and much torque to have a lot of driving fun. Oh, sorry, lane assist. Put it off. You can easily switch the lane assist, lane trace assist and the steering assist off by holding down this button on the top right corner on the steering wheel. Hold it for 2 seconds and it's switched off. The Yaris also shares its platform with the much smaller Igo Cross, which I drove summer last year and was quite a surprise. It has a normally aspirated 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. I believe it has about 70 horsepower. Now, that's by no means a fast car, but it's a very pleasant car to drive on these curvy country roads where I'm currently at. What it lacks in acceleration and power, it just makes up by cornering speed. You can carry a lot of speed into corners. So if you want to have a sporty ride or do a sporty drive, you just don't brake and carry more speed into corners, and it has great exit speeds. That car is a very entertaining car to drive. Now let's head out on a curvy back road over here. Be a bit careful. I could use winter tires at these times of years. I did notice that these Bridgestone tires tend to slide a bit at lower temperatures and when the road is a bit wet, a bit moist. But I think the suspension is well tuned for this tire setup. Fairly sticky tires, and I really need these tires in order to get the suspension to work. Well, speed bump, that's where you can tell that the suspension setup and especially the damper setup is different from the regular Yaris. You really bounce up and down these speed bumps over here. And yesterday when I drove the car home for the first time, I noticed that the joints on highways were very noticeable in terms of tire noise, mainly due to the low sidewall tires, but also the spring and shock setup. It just bounces a bit more. But then again, you wanted a sporty car, you get what you pay for. Only thing I wish, like for the speed bump, I have to use a brake. I wish I had a little more braking force, regenerative braking, when I pick my foot up from the gas pedal. That doesn't change when you switch it to power mode. So when you take your foot off the throttle, regenerative braking, words are hard. Regenerative braking is same in all drive modes. Alrighty, another roundabout. Speaking of roundabouts, we have like a gazillion of these things in this country. This is where you know that the steering feel is really nice. little bit of turn in, you make a nice corner. And also what you notice that the support of those sport seats is really good. For my upper leg the bolstering is enough, and in the back these bolsters over here are very nice. So let's make some speed. Listen to that engine. There we are. Let's go in adaptive cruise control. Switch on the lane assist. And there we go. Now what I wanted to say that these seats are very nice, even for longer rides. They're not too sporty. I only wish that either the seats were a bit lower in the car. That would really aid to the sporty driving feel you have. Or that the bolsters, the seat itself, were 1 or 2 centimeters less thick, so you had a lower seat and you would be more sandwiched in between those paddings, those bolsters on the seat itself. But I think many car reviewers made a complaint that you're set quite up high in the Yaris. Now, of course, this car has to suit to a broad variety of car drivers and buyers, and a lot of them are seniors, and they like to have an easy ingress, egress, and well, they benefit from a higher seating position. But for me personally, I would like to have the seat, well, 4 or 5 centimeters lower, or slightly less thicker seat cushions. Well, the sun is very bright today. It's nice to see spring is around the corner. And I must say the head-up display, I've seen a lot of head-up display even in more expensive cars. It's very clear at this moment. It's very easy to read. It's full color, provides a lot of information. That thing works really well. I just said I could do without, but actually this is a very nice head-up display to have. I said in the introduction that the central display is very crammed. There's a lot of information crammed in there. And I haven't found a setting where I can switch it off or show the least amount of information, like only the time and the outdoor temperature. That was the automatic emergency brake. I thought I was running into that traffic sign over there, but that thing can also be a bit overly cautious. And I think Toyota could alter the setup or the software of the radar braking support. Hi Lexus. As usual, we ended the driving segment over here in the middle of nowhere. It's a bit cold out here, so let's hop inside and give you my final thoughts on the Toyota Yaris GR Sport. So what are my thoughts on this car? Well, I do like the exterior changes, the badges and changes in styling. Also goes for the interior. I like the seat, I love the red stitching, but it isn't all about changing colors and adding some stickers and some badges. It's a different car than your regular Yaris is, and it's thanks to the changes that Toyota engineers made to the suspension and the steering setup. You can really tell it's a much sportier car, even though it doesn't make more power or is any faster. It is a very, very nice car to drive, and I have a week ahead with this car and I'm looking forward to it. So we can conclude it's a nice car to have. Great fuel economy, great driving. So if you're in for a bit sportier car, you should go for the test drive, like I said in the driving segment. Now, if you ask me, if you have the GR Yaris at one end and the regular Yaris on one end, is the GR Sport some way half between? No, it isn't. It's closer to the regular Yaris. I would say it's somewhere 1/3 between. It's, would say, plenty hardcore enough for most drivers. I think it's good as it is. It has a lot of accessible driving pleasure. And as with a regular Yaris, you get great fuel economy depending on how you drive. Now, I must say this car is a bit more inviting to drive in a sportier manner. So you get little less great fuel consumption, but all in all, with these low temperatures, and I have the heated seats and all on, and I still get 5 liters per 100 kilometer. Fuel consumption is great, and I think I can do better the longer I drive this car. Now with that, I would like to thank you for watching this episode, this version of Real Life Car Review. I do these car reviews somewhat in between time hobby when I'm not working on project LS400. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, maybe leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you on the next one. It be in a Real Life Car Review or in the next episode of project LS400. Thanks for watching.